The reason why I wanted to jump on here is not necessarily about that, because hey, what else is new on Earth, where everybody seems to want to enjoy a certain kind of life, but for whatever reason, we're living an entirely different kind of life, right? It would just make you wonder, with all these people running around here dressed up in all these weird ass clothes and all this paint on their face and all this disconnection, and make you wonder what the hell is going on. So tonight, as I mentioned, this is just a prelude to what I'm going to be bringing for the next few months about how this projection is put together. You know, really, when you're talking about how do you get out of it, if somebody said, well, how do you get out of it? I just want to know how to get out of it. Well, the reality is that you're going to have to get yourself out, because you're locked in your own mind. And there's some trickery that's taking place. And because you're not aware of how that kind of stuff even works, you know, you just get clueless. You're in Wonderland, right? So what this conversation is actually about is it's about demystifying Wonderland, attempting to use the English language to completely explain the process of how we get on this side of the looking glass, if that's even possible, because it's like really shoving an elephant through a straw. If you want to say they, which they is a collective group of consciousness. It could be, anyone can be a part of they when they adapt to a certain level of thinking, but they really do have an agenda to continuously allow the human beings that are not smart enough, do not have enough genetic tail left, meaning they just can't tap into that ancient self. They're losing themselves in this, you know, this craze and this digitalism of what's happening, right? So, you know, you always have to be connected. Like if the closer you could be connected to everything, the more you're going to be aware of what's going on. The more you separate yourself, the less you're going to be aware of. So when you adapt ideologies of any kind of racism or bigotry, the moment that you begin to separate yourself from anything is the moment that you just fall down the ladder of lights. You just fall down the stairs. And it's so difficult to recover from a fall like that. So I'm going to do my best to assist you, but I want to show you something, because a lot of the divisions that you see on the planet right now, when we're thinking that division has a lot to do with, you know, human minds, you know, the way people are raised, the way they think about others and their judgments, and maybe because they got a little money, or maybe because they don't have any money, and, you know, all of that going on, you may think that that's a part of the human problem, right? Until you turn on something like snow monkeys, nature's snow monkeys. Disney's even got a movie about monkeys too, real monkeys, to show you that these monkeys will basically set up within their own hierarchy, a hierarchy, that they have the king monkey and the queen monkey, and then the babies of the king and the queen monkey. And only those monkeys are allowed, in this particular documentary, only those monkeys are allowed to sit into the hot area where there's like a jacuzzi in Japan. This is where the footage from Baraka comes from, where you see these snow monkey. I mean, he's in there, you know, he's chilling out, and you're like, man, that looks great. But they didn't pan out to show you that there was a bunch of monkeys sitting on top of the rocks, freezing cold, and wasn't allowed to actually get inside of that hot spring water and that natural habitat, because there is a hierarchy set up with these monkeys. So if you think that the hierarchical system set up here has to do with because we started reading books, you're wrong. Because these are examples that literally show you that this way of belief, this selectivism, this division is inherent. It is bred inside of the genetics of multiple organisms and life forms on the planetary system. And because of that, it will make you have to realize that unless you hack yourself, unless you deprogram yourself from what's happening, you're on a destroy mission. This world is on a destroy mission, but it's an illusion. So, you know, destroying an illusion and something that can't die, dying is all a part of the buffoonery of the pain that comes along with fear which is bred from the lack of control of the minds. And that now humanity has found themselves into quite a bind because it's very difficult to help each other now. Like people are looking at you, there's paranoid, they're paranoid about themselves, they're working spells on themselves, they're just confused. It's all out wonderland, lost, okay? So what we agreed though, is that when we got together on this mission, was we agreed on one thing, nothing less than the full maximization of the energetic system and the rising of the human species. That's what I'm in this for. That's what I've been able to accomplish, even though you may see this lonely tortoise, a shell of a man it used to be in his 20s, sitting over here. I'm long gone, and I'm back again. And I want to unlock some things for you so you can do the same thing, but I'm going to need to break a few things down. So now you go see the monkey thing first so you could start the deprogramming process of realizing that any selectivism that is being done on you, what you're calling racism, what you're also doing to others, like all of what the bags that you're holding from that, all the emotional programming and all that stuff that you're holding from that, this will give you the ability to actually let it go because you'll realize its true origin. Its true origin, the true origin is division, is only going to be more and more weakness. And because you're everything that you start to say that you're not just becomes more and more the division that you live in and the limitation of what you can perceive. Like one of the questions that was going to be presented to me was, how do you contact the ancient ancestors? How do you contact historical figures along the timeline and try to tap in and ask them something? And my answer was going to be, the only way that you can begin to tap into something else, if you may, something else's memories, is based on how much you believe that you're everything and that there is no longer something else. And you have access to that. Because the moment that you say, well, that belongs to them, that is the moment that you lock yourself out of it. That is how the system works. So let me tell you about the beginning, if you may, because we don't even have a beginning. So beginning for us is when we started doing the stupidity with time, as you see the rabbit running around with the clock in Alice in Wonderland, right? So this kind of symbolism basically means that according to the Kabbalah, which is math, this is not something Yahuda Levi Ashlag took from some mountain jewel that was encrusted and then he became the Talmud Harayim, and it wasn't all of that. It couldn't even be conceived. It couldn't even be thought of. You couldn't even embody it as like an individual to say that it was yours. But what is there and always remains there is an entity that is so vast that it envelops and makes up everything. You can't go asking questions about it. You can't go trying to figure it out because once that happens, you divide from it. This was you. In this process that happens really fast, when you begin to contemplate, when you begin to, which is called reflecting, which we didn't do. There was nothing to think about. We were motionless. There was the original name for the Supreme Being means motionless because everything in the created worlds is of motion. It's light. So there will always be that vibratory yin and yang roller coaster and it'll burn everything out and then keep powering other things as it's in this process of trying to save itself from itself. So what happens is think about what would be the previous state. See, you can't even think about it. You have to know. And this is what locks people out right away. They can't imagine the unbegotten, the place where nothing comes from, let alone that they were actually there. So in this contemplation, the moment that you contemplate with the beam, you can imagine how much power. People are just starting to figure out the secrets of manifesting what you think, and they're just now seeing how that really works. But imagine from the beginning, there's not a awareness of how it works. It just works. And in that state, in that reflection, the moment that you want to perceive anything, you have to use what is equivalent to us as like a gamma ray, which you would see as a laser. You would begin to use a system that would literally project, and that's why I call it the projector, would literally project all of what you're visualizing and imagining. And just like a palette with lots of different colors and lots of things. It's not distinguishable at first. And then just like a palette of paint that you can turn into a picture, you begin that process. So that process goes, by the way, there's a fly in here bothering me. In the beginning, there was the light. Okay, now this is why the word light is connected with lie. Okay, because how people generally see light is they see light as energy, and they see energy as the only thing. That's why they think on the planet that everything is energy. All is energy. It's a lie. It's all light. And the reason why is the moment that you come from yourself to reflect upon something else, at that point, it can never be as great as the original. It's like bouncing a light off of something one time. The first time you bounce the light, it could never be as powerful as that original light. It could never be. So what happens from there is that once that light is bounced, that's called across the looking glass. This is why generally in a mirror, you can only see one side of things when you use a mirror, unless you use another mirror, right? But traditionally, you can only see one side of things in a mirror. So when you come across the mirror, when you go into the light, into the illusion of your own projection, from that point, a very strange game is played. And I've been monitoring this game on this planet, and I have come to conclusive evidence, that this is exactly what's going on. From that moment, the person projects themselves. Now, we have these ancient ancestors that they have a whole different level of conception of what they want to create. Some of their buildings and things are still remaining. Some of the art and the detail and what they're engaged in is still remaining. So that's how it starts first, right? See, now you're thousands and thousands, if not millions, who knows, away from that point. So now this shit is all worn down. It's just like anything else. It's like a pair of shoes. You just keep walking on the shoes. You need a new pair of shoes. We need a new earth. A real one. So at this point, you see the whole place is run down. There's a lot of humans hanging around. All of them are hanging around like this is like a huge slum. Everyone's dragging each other down. Everyone thinks that they're different because what happened with the monkeys. That the further it goes, it's like this is kind of how it starts. Now, if we're all just humans, right? Because there's animals here too. Now, if we're all just humans, if it's a little bit of us, of course, we're going to be psychologically, genetically wired to protect our group, to make sure our group survives, right? So those monkeys are doing the same thing, lions doing the same thing. So this is what made Earth the environment that it was, because everything was in that survival of the fittest process, that I want to pass on my progeny. I'm hardwired to make sure that I survive. And that survival is telling me, and let me just close this window down over here. That survival is telling me that I got to protect my own, right? This is now, you're deep in the illusion now. This is now yours, okay? That's called possession. So now, once the person becomes possessed, right? So what happens is they're like, I got to protect their own. So even in that small group of humans, once they started getting larger, there was other ones, and they were like, Sinkastlak, I'm able to use the tools and you're not. And nobody else is using the tools but me and this guy. And so basically, we're higher than you guys because we're using the tools. So we're here, you're here, right? And so this starts going on, right? And then as even that whole group starts getting longer, we're like, Fudanfu, surely you should be higher than everyone since you slayed the greatest. You see, so this is natural for there to be, I guess what they call it, natural selection. From both angles, people choosing who should be up and who should be down based on whatever foolish criteria that they're giving themselves in their mental illusion, okay? Now they're falling down the ladder at this point. Now they no longer are aware of the other side of the looking glass and all of what they are there, which is everything. They're now cheap and possessed and buying into small trinkets and items and moments of pleasure and other organisms as a form of energetic survival in a system that is only an illusion because you don't die. So what is the purpose of surviving? You see? So now this shit is so intricate. You have so many different players in this game that decided, well, I'll play the game. Some have even been out before and can get out and come back in. See, because we're generally wired in this whole binary good and evil program, which created the division, we can't see that, hey, there's other stuff that has another floating point, meaning it has a positive, negative, and a neutral. There's traditions that some people will perceive as evil. There's other ones that some people will perceive as good. But in those traditions, there's a positive and a negative and neutral switch in those traditions, whether people are aware of them or not. Okay? So, because of that, I want you to know that once the projector becomes the projected, it now becomes like a video game, like a real live role-playing game where you die and you blink a little bit and then you come back because you're just a signal, you're just a wavelength, a band of energy. As long as there's a television to broadcast your signal, which are the bodies, you will always be able to get into another body. But it doesn't mean you'll always be able to get into a human body. And that's the other thing about Earth. Behold, we saw the ladder going up and down, that in the degrees of the spirit, that if you degrade your spirit, if you divide further, you will basically go into that wavelength. You will become of that life form. That's why I said, if a guy acts like a dog, is it wrong for him to become a dog the next life? Hopefully you get a good owner. We got to start thinking about this, but nobody is, right? They're still playing the game. They're still battling. They want to battle. Like even right now, the websites are down because, somebody tried to hack the websites. It's not a problem, They'll roll back all the websites tomorrow and reload it again. It happens right on the time that I'm about to do the interview. I jump on the interview and the lady's sound is not working. Am I faded? How am I faded in an illusion? This is what the game I stopped playing. There's a moon here. And because there's a moon here, just like surfers know, it's going to be a tide coming in and coming out. So if I'm getting washed up and pulled back into the ocean and washed up and pulled back in the ocean, what kind of condition am I going to be in after a few years of that, after 10 years of that, after 1,000 years of that? What condition am I going to be in just living under one moon and a sun and countless stars? What condition am I going to be in if I keep buying into just the energetic, hey, we want you to do this, puppet masters of light. We want you to be like this. This is your zodiac. This is who you are. This is your number. You see, this game, if it gets by 4 to 5 billion people, 6 billion people, it won't get by me. I created this. And this is what you have to remember. You created this. So at any point, you can just shrug it off and be like, man, just shrug it off already. Like, I'm already seeing what's going on for a long time. I'm watching friends turn into foes in the whole cycle when they even come back around to being friends again. I'm tired of seeing the same behavior out of humanity. I'm tired of seeing just the whole not utilizing the resources that have been given to us. Like I said, look, we can harness this mind. We could take it right out of my head and put it on a shelf somewhere and just use it. If we can crack this thing with just this, it would be a reward for all of us. But no, people still wanted to figure out how they were going to get the reward themselves. So this is why there's been a total lack of unity in the conscious community. How many more conventions, how many more projects, how many more for there to be some real action happening here? Because the action is not happening because everybody's staying in the safe zone and they don't want to say what needs to be said because they're afraid of the little position, or they're afraid of offending somebody, or they're afraid of not getting the right views or the right likes and all this stuff. And this has happened so long. People are basically putting the dog ears and the whiskers and shit all on their face to look like something else because they can no longer live as themselves. They put the makeup on, they put the clothes on and all that because they can no longer live as their true selves anymore. That's all that really means. And then they'll have you over here doing it, being aware of that. Meaning that just even try to blend in so you don't just look like a complete illegal alien everywhere you go. You have to even take on the costume or the custom, as they call it. You put on this suit or this robe, basically, this wardrobe, right? So you can go out there and go to war and battle and separate yourself from everybody based on what you're wearing. I mean, this is lame. It's 7 years now, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, man, how far has this really gone? Now, many have gone pretty far, though, I will say. They've taken this knowledge and this information, and they've applied it, and I when I get a chance to interact with them, if it counts for anything, I am very well pleased. Like, I've seen some brothers, my brother Sven, can even go start naming names, my brother Bobby, all my brothers and sisters that have been in this and really just been like, look, it's still the same thing. Either it's the man or the mission. And I choose the mission within myself. I'm taking the knowledge. It's a smorgasbord. I'm turning it into wisdom by applying it. And I'm growing with that. And I tune back in and I stay close to make sure my synchronization and my transmissions are matching with what's going on with this guy when he's on point sometime. Right? So think about this then. Acid versus alkaline. Okay? See, what happens is that, so what you call evil is acid and what you call good is alkaline. And most people in your world, they just want one or the other, right? And they think most of the time that they're even pushing the pedal to the metal and getting the extreme of it. So let me give you an example. Why do people like this sorry-ass rap music? Why do they like these scary ass movies? Like, why would I want to watch some shit walk up the roof, mess up my next journey? You know what I mean? Like, now I got all that. I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of that when I'm already flying by the seat of my pants at 1,000,000 knots. Why would I want to put that in my mind, right? But see, because that's kind of not what I want to do, right? In this ID and profile, okay? However, there's another person, which we can't seem to figure out in this ID or person, why they would like something like that, but they do. They love to cut that shit on late at night on Halloween. It's crazy, the dead body on the floor. If they could get one, they will go and watch this shit on their cell phone in a cemetery. If given the opportunity, they love it. Why? They're acidic. They are more on the acidic level. While meanwhile, just as dangerous, you have this holy then thou motherfucker dictating the spiritual rules of the entire realm, launching bulls all over the place, doped up on alkaline. Did you know that cocaine is an alkaline? You got folks out here that mess with the alchemy and they didn't turn themselves into pure metal. They decided that instead of having the fail cycle of the organic form, they chose the inorganic. Don Juan told you they put themselves in inorganics. Inorganics are crystals in chemistry. They got you thinking inorganic is plastic. Like, they got you thinking everything. And then thinking you know what you're talking about. I meet so many people who think they know what the hell they're talking about. This shit's a shame. They jump on something and been on it for 2 weeks. Now they're professionals. I've been doing this all my life, and I'm just now figuring out why I'm coming back here again. This is backwards. The direction on the clock when it spins is backwards. That's the direction of death, right? This direction is the direction of death, okay? So just, go research this kind of stuff. It's backwards. So I still, though, can say, well, shoot, why would I want to come back through something? What am I looking for? Right? Like, think about it. Like, you're looking for a time machine. Something happened and you're trying to rewind. You're trying to rewind back to wherever it started. Like, yo, why don't we just go back? This is like one of the movies. It's like we in the jungle, we in the wilderness now. All the damn trees look the same. And we like, man, why don't we just go back? And then they start breaking up, right? Like the groups break up. They show this. They show it in movies all the time. It's just, this is what makes it so maddening, because there are those here that are aware and sadistically love the level of control that they have over the clueless beings that are here. But no more. No more for the sovereigns. If you're here today and you're getting the message and it's comprehending, it's working for you, even if it's not, just stick with it. It'll eventually start running those tumblers inside of your mind and unlock it. So just listen to this, acid and alkaline. That's how you should start looking at it. And that's why if a person goes and gorges themselves on a bunch of bread and a bunch of milk and a bunch of cheese, and they go listen to a bunch of rap, and man, according to the alchemical treatise, in which every element was shown in its zoomorphication, alchemy, okay? Alchemy, right? So think about what's being said. The knowledge of blackness, the knowledge of the darkness, okay? What people don't know. So in this, well, you can't get that secret. No, I'm going to give it to you. Okay, here we go. Acid versus alkaline. In the alchemical treatise, when you see these demons as they're depicted, when they draw them, what they're doing is they're showing the characteristic of the element, like ammonia, like pure hydrogen, like purified gold, all these different things that if you're on one, meaning the third eye is open, and you're around this thing, you're going to see what it really is. You're not going to see the looking glass version, right? Like I saw a video on Psych Substance, a dude on YouTube that just takes drugs and shit for a living and reports about it, psychoactive substances and stuff, and reports about it. He's at 1 million. I thought about going that route. At least I would have got high. What happened is that he said the other day he was smoking some changa and he finally got into a plant. And then when he went in deep, all of a sudden the plant was like there, like a little shop of horrors with the tongue, and was really trying to just enthrall him like, yo, come over here, baby, I'm with you. You know what I mean? Because you have no clue what's really out there, because we're even on another dimension now. Now, sometimes that benefits us. Let's say at this point of falling down the ladder, if you run out into even one of these jungles here in Costa Rica, you're in Venus now. And now all of that stuff, like most of them reptilians and them amphibians and who they really are on that side of the looking glass, then you feel. You don't have to necessarily see yet. So you should hope you don't see, because you're going to catch out, you're going to break feet, legs, everything trying to get up out of there. But you feel, oh man, I'm in somewhere else. Shit, I'm in where I'm not supposed to be. There's a feeling that literally comes across that, man, I'm where I'm not supposed to be. I better not say anything. I just need to come down. He needs some milk. And that's how it be. Okay. So those are the other realms, and those are the other slabs of what goes on in the realities and all the other different entities split across the mirror, like a glass is broken or a trillion cut Jewish diamond with the small numbers on it, reflecting all sorts of refractions of lights, creating densities inside of oobs or corners of 90-degree angles, where they all standing on the square like spooky ass Ku Klux Klan members with long ass hats like Gandalf, using the energy to project a cone from the top of the head while they chanting the words that give them a cone inside of their chest. And then you run around here playing around talking about when are you going to be able to pay your rent, or what this idiot's going to say next in the White House. And it can't keep going on like this. And I'm going to make sure it's not one way or another. And that's just the thing with power and the thing with projections, that you can do it for yourself. You could work on your sovereign process. We call it innerstanding. And then if you could get that accomplished, you can go for the mega boss. You can actually go into the alternate mission, the second riddle, and try to figure it out for billions of people. Now, it's possible. And there's lots of space credits involved. But if you could possibly re-engineer the genetic string of the degradation of the breaking of the steps of the ladder of lights, shoot, we can go to lunch. It's on me. So this is what you should know, because I'm not here to stay all night. I just want to give you a prelude of this across the looking glass, is to remember the fear of loss. Okay, so where does fear come from? Where does fear come from? Where does hate come from? It comes from love, right? Some people alkaline people have a hard time answering that question. Where does hate come from? It comes from love. Have you ever messed with something someone loves? Oh, but that's justified though, right? Because that's plausible deniability kicks in. It's justified. You touch what's mine, I'm going to blow you away. I'm going to blow you into a million particles and scatter you into the wind if you touch what is mine, right? Because it's mine, right? And that's the overall idea that pervades here, that if someone messes with what is yours or does something that is against you, then now you're justified to exact retribution upon them. And so who's drawing the lines here? Oh, whoever wants, whatever line you want to draw. So you would see what the problem would eventually become. Nobody would know where the line is. Everybody would try to draw their own line to be beneficial on them, for them. That's called division. Look at the division symbol. There's two circles. Those are orbs or spheres, right? They're symbols of three-dimensional, something holding the third spatial. Then you got the line that intersects the spatial, and that is the symbol of division. Same thing with percentage. Two of those orbs and a slat right through the middle. Why? Because this is not just one trip across the looking glass. When they're talking about they split atom, right? That means there's two more. There's a masculine and a feminine now inside of the same thing, battling and going through duality. Okay? This is why, people always want to jump now into trying to figure out who should be the better one to rule the environment. Actually, they're pretty much done with the divine masculine because they think the divine masculine is Harvey Weinstein. You see, people can't do the division game too well, so it starts to blur for them. So pretty soon it's just all men. And it's like, we just got to bring females back, right? You're not even understanding the forces. Like, this is not a man or a human woman we're talking about here. This is what's behind the eyes of a human man, a human woman, a human dolphin, a human whale, or excuse me, a male whale, a female dolphin. This is what is behind the eyes. They're females too. They have genitalia, okay? This is like talking to kindergartens, right? So these are the creators, because the ancient book says that the creators, if there's ever an image of them, anything that may be of their likeness in your world, it is that of the reproductive organs. And when reading that, the adept thinks, is it saying that the ancient ones look like penises and vaginas? Bingo. That old squid, let me see if I could do a screen share real quick. That octopusy, meaning all of that eel, that electric eel that's on the end of, that's coming out the end of the front end of the male human, that's all that is. Those reproductive components, that electricity, they just showed you how when they fire electron into a purified glass of water, then the single cell life form appears out of nowhere. Bam! First sign of life in the process of creating life right there from nothing, from nowhere, okay? Using what? Electrons. So that is the sexual side or sexual side of the entire construct and just the generative components in the generative process. But by all means, if we remain confined into that mindset of self-preservation through external replication, then we would forget about this internal scenario that we would need to have take place that basically folds us back up. It closes the shell-like shape of time, because time is like a shell. It's phi, right? So it's building a shell around the being. Okay? So to go back down that tunnel, in order to get out of those shells, even in the Kabbalah, it's called the shells or shigaril. Those shells that form around the divisions, those are the surfaces that you're standing on. And one of the questions was going to be about flat Earth. Do you think I care about what shape the illusion is in? Have you ever heard of psyops, where there's just a psychological operation that's purveying everything, like QAnons and now Trump's working for us? And are you crazy? Do you know if you take 5 months, 3 months, and leave the conscious community and come back and peep in what they believe after that 3 months, you'll be blown away in disbelief. But if you're just there the whole time, it'll progressively wear on you to a point where you start thinking that the ones who have been sworn against you becoming aware, they took oaths. Okay, listen, there is a mathematical language happening right now that you cannot read. Think about it. Can you go and read every single symbol in trig and know what those symbols do and what they mean? No, that's a Kabbalah then. Not to mention, there's so many breakoffs of it in different schools of thought. They've spread out amongst Ivy League universities across the world, compartmentalizing everyone. And then utilizing them to build yet more of a prison and a structure to keep them in. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. That's obvious. What I'm here to talk about is just the monad of happiness. When you make it back to yourself is when you'll reach fulfillment. And happiness is Zen indeed, because while everybody else is being tossed by the waves of time, never being able to see that the weather is the true symbol of their state, that they're cold, right? Or too hot. It's always that. They're either too cold or too hot, too acidic or too alkaline. You need pH balance. A little bit on the alkaline side, because the environment is naturally alkaline now. Meaning that collective hive, what we call they, it has no other identity beside us. Being collectively utilized against ourselves to believe in this foolishness through, here's the crescendo of it, to possession, because we think this belongs to us. The little bit of things that we try to choose here when all of it's ours. So this is what's happening. You got, like, let's say, for instance, with my daughter, I do the best that I can. She hears the conversations. She gets it just like everybody else, basically, at 5. So if she decides at 10, 6, 12, 15, whenever, that she is ready to start doing how she wants to do it, this is actually the point to where you realize, this is for all you that have kids, you start realizing what's yours and what's not. And if you think it's yours, this is like the 70-year-old person back there. They're like, my son, baby, come stay with me. Well, mama, you send me some more money. I'm about to go, I'm trying to get back, trying to get out of jail. And, put some more money on my books, mama. It's like all the time, these different interactions that people have in the reality to where they think something is theirs. Like this money, okay? So, I got my money in my bank. Oh my goodness, somebody didn't pay me back my money, or somebody stole my money, or I feel like I work harder for my money. It's my money. You right? So that possession, that's what's got you in hell. Okay? It is much more different than how they try to explain it in these encrypted books, but there are 8 to 9 billion prisons right here. They're all shaped like prisms. They refract the 7 colors and the hidden 9, the other 2, right? They refract the light because they're projecting with their projector, same one you can buy from Sony. They're projecting a reality, right? And instead of them looking at the reality, or even that moment where they start looking at it, they dive into it. And that's when the one that is just observing becomes what they observed. And that's how you get back or forward, as I always say. Meaning, when you cease to be separate from what you're observing and you change places, that's the power. That's the power, okay? That's when you become anything. Like, I'm sitting at a level of life right now. It's just, I don't want to broadcast everything. It's not going to benefit me at all for people to hate me more. They hate me just because I'm doing this. I don't get it. But really check it out, though. It's like, why would I want to even turn a camera on? Why would I want to pan to the left or pan to the right? Why would I want to go on a day trip and show what I really am up to? I'm really an author. There's really a book. I'm really an inventor. There's quite a few devices. I'm really a motivational and spiritual speaker. I've done that for 7 years. I'm really a financial guru. Like, folks is making money. I'm really an instructor of spiritual courses. I did the university. But still, most organizations, factions, groups of people who are very well aware of me still are looking at not enough. As if we don't all need each other right now to get ready to really demystify what's happening here fast, if we're not expecting to just keep doing the loop-de-loop. See, when you're in a cycle, you can become a cycle. It's the same word. We need to see that continuously going in this loop all the time. Same old thing, right? Every time you get in a relationship, right? Same old damn thing, right? Because you're doing the same thing over and over again. Get off the roller coaster. Alice, wake up. There's a moon in your sky. That's why it's so important, that symbol. It controls current. If you don't get off of it and get on your own system as a sovereign, then you will be a slave to it. That's what in the books they say people were slaves to Nanar sin, and it was neither male nor female, but contained both regenerative components, and it excited them. They are written. So all I'm saying is that now other people are doing it. I'm not even saying that the moon was enough to keep the illusion going. That's why they're always showing you this moon and all this. These are the components of the projector. And rather than thinking about whether you're going to go and blow up the moon or whether it's hollow or whether it's real, and all you have to do is just get control of yourself and realize when that monkey starts going, that's why they call it the monkey mind. When he starts thinking or she starts thinking that he or she is so different, the only differences are acid and alkaline from the entire spectrum, from petahertz all the way down to hertz, right? Terahertz and petaflops. That's all we're talking about here. Multiple levels of division. And thus the creator of this world, which is you, using light, which they love to cloak as the whole Lucifer, using light, designed an illusion, and is rapidly getting blinded by their own light, their own ego, right? That keeps fueling them with the belief that destruction is imminent and that destruction is even possible. Unbind yourself. Fly free already. Say something. Go and do something original. Find your passion again. Did you play instruments before? Did you like to explore? Did you ever have someone that you really felt connected to? A friend or somebody that you haven't seen in a while? Get out. That's all I'm saying. Get out of this box. It's open. It's ready for you, but you cannot get out if you don't let yourself out. And sometimes we can become the things in our own way. Just get out your way. If you need some positive reinforcement, go check out these monkeys. There's no monkeys on Nature Channel. See how they act. So you can start becoming aware that, hey, maybe even the people that you think, oh, they're racist and they are trying to survive. Now they've really bought into the game. Now, the thing is, the people who buy into the game the most, they are the most crude and shrewd, okay? Because they really believe the death thing exists. They have no more minerals left. They are demineralized. And so they feel the yearn of the destruction of their chain. There's haplogroups, there's the haplogroups, the entire ladder is broken. Even their genetic reproduction is not working. And they're so far away from where time started. So don't get pulled down that way. That when I say, oh, just because you're a good person, don't mean you can't get pulled down that way. Just because you're an evil person, don't mean you're going that way. It's about being balanced. The balance is the two rudders in your UFO, your unidentified flying object called your body, which you still don't know much about. The two rudders is acid and alkaline from now. Just practice that. Before we start working with the other buttons, just work with that. Every single day, watch the acid and the alkaline in your mind and your attitude. Also in your diet, in your food, right? Watch it in the sky. Make no mistake. Take a notation. Where am I at? We're about to get full moon. Okay. See, it doesn't bother me most of the time. It's getting stronger, by the way. But most of the time, I'm good. But man, I watch it. I set a trap. This is how you know, like, it's not smarter than us. You set a trap. Let me see. Who always gets out of line on new moon and full moon? Who is that just has no control? Okay? You get that call on full moon from that same person. Come get me. And it's like, man, you're leaking. You got so many possessions. I'm done. You got to start being done. Like Dr. Kassar said, learn how to say no. K-N-O, K-N-O-W, and N-O. Learn just how to say no. It's like, no, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not on the roller coaster with you no more. I'm charging up. And I know for sure, like, I don't need anyone to confirm it for me, who my ancestors were and what we did and what the measurements were inside of my pyramid and my sarcophagus and where they put my heart and where they put what the hell do I look like? The Mr. Potato Head? I don't need this. And you don't either. It needs you. And that's all I got to say. So, again, that's the prelude. Just wanted to get in here and really just connect with everybody before I, go play this game they call sleep. And, like I said, I was hyped up for a minute because I was going to do a show. And, I got myself high strung. And then they were like, let's just reschedule. And I was like, okay, but I'm still going in anyway. So that's what brought me here to you today. And that's synchronicity, wholeness, and balanced vibration. If you want to check us out, maybe when they put the site back up, you can check us out in Ambassador Training. And even beyond then, I see you in your dreams. Wholeness.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next generation of science.
Is there any way in which one's mind can be